A little bit of Roto-World player news before we start with the running backs, because this has to do with a very important running back. Lions David Montgomery, he's going to have season-ending knee surgery. The Lions injuries, the hits just keep coming. David Montgomery, obviously a huge part of this offense, which is a huge bummer here, Jay. On the flip side of it, could mean even more work for Jahmyr Gibbs, who has gotten more of the share in this backfield in year number 2 for him.
I can't remember anything like this for a team that was the Super Bowl favorite to be so comically decimated by injuries, where it's just, and it's sad, but it's reaching levels of farce. And the amount of guys that are going down. David Montgomery, the latest, out for the season, along with Aleem McNeil, Carlton Davis, broken jaw as well. We know about all the other injuries on their defense, in particular Aiden Hutchinson, who may come back at some point. But with David Montgomery, in terms of fantasy repercussions from this, I mean, it's just Jahmyr Gibbs and his workload really ramping up, Pat. In the 3 games that Montgomery missed last season, Jahmyr Gibbs averaged over 22 points per game. So he's a guy who he clearly has the ability to take on more work, and now he's just a locked-in top 5 running back the rest of the way with the touches he's going to get.
That really is the takeaway. He could be, honestly, a top 1.
Yeah.
And fantasy managers might try to cope with the idea, the Lions really like a 2-back backfield, which is true, but it's Sion Vaki, it's Craig Reynolds. That's just not going to happen. And our old colleague, John Daigle, actually had the stat. David Montgomery has missed part of all of 6 games since the Lions drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. And in those 6 games, Gibbs has averaged 21 carries for 128 yards, just like stratospheric stuff. His lowest yardage total for those games was 82. And just with the defensive injuries, they're going to be caught up in track meets. It's going to be up tempo. There's going to be a lot of play volume. They're going to want the guy who's already locked into those situations in Jahmyr Gibbs. And there's going to be breather touches up for Sion Vaki and Craig Reynolds, maybe. Just not enough where you're even considering like a second flex. And yeah, if you've had Jahmyr Gibbs all year, you had a top 5 or 6 guy most of the year. Now you honestly probably have a top 2 or 3, some weeks even number 1 overall.
Yep. It always feels a little insensitive to be talking about betting stuff after someone's had a season-ending injury, because it's trivial in the scheme of things. But Dave Montgomery, before the season, Connor, his rushing prop for the year, 777.5. He ends the season with 775 rushing yards. So that is a tough way to go down.
The dangers of season total over-unders. Yeah. And one more thing here, Jay, with that kind of emphasizes the point that Pat's making. I mean, the seeding in the NFC has gotten a lot more interesting over recent weeks, where you really can't get cute. You need your best players to eat up all the touches, and I think that'll only emphasize this being Jahmyr Gibbs' backfield rather than saying, hey, Craig Reynolds, hey, Sione Vaki, you're going to be involved now, because these are must-win games throughout. Yep,
and the way the Lions, they end their season, it's not like they get to play the Raiders every week.
No.
Like, they go at the Bears next week. That's tough in terms of Jared Goff playing outdoors. Now, the Bears are sliding, but still, that is a game, division rivalry. We know what happened on Thanksgiving, so that's not going to be a layup. And then they go at San Francisco, and then they close the season, which could be for the 1 seed, home to the Vikings. So I suspect that there is going to be game script where they are going all out throughout the whole game. And also the other thing too is that their defense is so banged up and so fragile that they might have to be putting up 40 points to beat these teams.
Yeah, they're just running out of players, as we keep emphasizing. And, it's one thing for fans or analysts to say that, but when the coach is going for onside kicks in early situations, going for it on the other side of the field, he's telling you, it's not, I don't trust Aaron Glenn, my defensive coordinator. It's that we just don't have the players right now to stop the best offenses in the NFL. So it'll be really interesting to see how this Lions rushing attack and obviously still their passing attack, because Gibbs is so involved in it going forward, as he eats up pretty much all of the touches.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.